In working for a few of my clients, I've noticed one thing, and that is some there's some salespeople who have really interesting ideas about how to move the business forward. And during what will I call it now? Sales meetings, team meetings, things like that. Because some organizations have this habit of every single Monday. I mean, the last time I sold for someone, I sold financial services. So in the organization that I was with, it was an every Monday meeting. So some businesses have an every Monday meeting, every Wednesday, every Friday, twice a month, whatever. So some people come up with some interesting ideas about how you can move the business forward, and that's nice. So excuse me. So that's really nice, and in fact, it's part of what people pay us for. That's for those of us who are professional salespeople. So not just the execution, but also if we can come up with some good ideas, and the ideas work, then hey, why not? So it's good. However, I've noticed that there's some people who are really good at coming up with ideas, but who never really do anything to execute that idea. So you say, Oga, we can try this. And the Oga says, oh, I think that's a good idea. And then you kind of let it die. Okay, Madam, we can try that. And Madam says, oh, I think that's a good idea. And then you just kind of let it go. So I'm making today's episode to talk to people like that who are kind of in that headspace. So one thing you need to know is that thinking is not the same thing as doing. So, Madam, I was thinking we should do it like this. Let's do it like this. Oga, I was thinking like this. Oga, I was thinking like that. It's not the same thing as doing the thing. So, it's not just enough that we're coming up with interesting ideas. We actually have to take a step forward and try and see how we can um, we can move the business forward and overcome these challenges. Because, like I said, this is the reason why the business organization has brought you in as sales talent. So it's not just to execute on sales ideas, sales playbooks, sales frameworks that the business already have. But if you can come up with ideas to drive new revenue, then yeah, if you can think it, but you're not going to take action, then like what's the point? Now I suspect that maybe it's this whole thing about failure. Like I say, oh madam, let's try it like this. And madam says, okay, I think it's a good idea. And then you now realize like, oh, okay, I actually put myself forward. If I try it and then this thing fails, what happens? Okay, now there's something you need to understand about the Nigerian work environment, at least as far as sales is concerned. Your oga or madam is not quite as harsh as you think. They bear the burden of getting revenue, getting profits, keeping the business going. Anybody in the organization who looks as if they're also paying attention to these sorts of things will be thought of as an asset. You'll be thought of as a special class of person. They'll be more lenient towards you on certain kinds of things. So, failure is not a problem for someone like that if you're coming up with new ideas. They will be forgiving, provided you have a defined scope. Now, Ogas and Madams don't like experiments in sales that end up costing the business time and money. But if you come up with an idea and you can show a you can do a small experiment that doesn't take too much time or maybe doesn't take too much money to try and validate the core concept that this might work, that this might work, then you'll find that Ogas and Madams are actually quite forgiving. So let's say you're in a business that's never tried flyers and you suspect that flyers might work. If you come up with an idea to try a small run of, I don't know, printing, maybe a small run, maybe 5,000 or maybe 10,000, just to try and experiment. I doubt Madame is going to take your head off if this campaign doesn't work. If you go ahead, on the other hand, you get everybody gingered, and then you will do a massive run of, I don't know, 20,000 flyers or something. Okay, that's a different thing. So, if you work in an organization, just remember, your Oga, your Madam, they are the ones that carry this whole thing of let this business make money, let this business make money. They carry it on their head. Any other person who seems to be willing to bear the burden will be thought of as an asset. So when you put your step forward and say, Madam, Mo do like this, or Oga, Have you thought of, can we try? If they say, no problem, good. So the next thing is you come up with a defined scope of action to make sure that you can implement this plan. You just do it small. You will not invest too much time and will not invest too much money. If you fail that way, Oga won't be mad. Madam won't carry it out on you. Now, if you're in the habit of coming up with all these ideas, and let's say the last three of them haven't worked, okay, that's a different thing entirely. But if this is your first time and you say, Madam, I honestly think we can grow sales if we do this. If Madam says, that's a good idea. The thing to do is not to look at Madam and nod your head back and then nothing gets done in the meeting. Propose a course of action. Okay, Madam, if we're going to do this, I think we need to do a trial to make sure that this thing works. And this is what I'm proposing. Madam, I will need this from you. I will need this amount of money, or I will need to be out of the office on this day, on this day, on that day, or I will need access to this particular contact or this, but like, come up with a plan. Simple. Excuse me. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. You don't even have to write it out as a formal proposal or anything. Even if you just say it with mouth in the meeting, and then after that, send Madam a reminder in WhatsApp, but then it's stated there. Okay, Madam, remember, this is what we discussed. To put this one in action, I need this amount of money, or I need this day off, or I need access to this resource, or access to that resource. Even if not just simple WhatsApp message, that'll be good. So don't worry too much about failure. Because if your madam or your guy is a reasonable person, they understand that these things happen. So long as you have a defined scope of action that you want to use and try this something. Remember, I'm saying defined scope. So if madam says it's a good idea, and then you go and talk to the sales manager, and then between you and the sales manager, you get him to approve 20,000 flyers, and then the thing flops. Okay, people will be angry. She will shout, does money grow on trees? Blah, 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 blah. People are wasteful, all those things. But if you do a small run, 2,500 flyers, 5,000 flyers, let's just try this thing. Let's just see how it works. So, like that. So, thinking is not the same thing as doing. Stop thinking of all these wonderful ideas. Start executing on them small. If you are afraid, limited scope of action, defined scope of action, show that this thing can work. If you make success, on a small scale, okay, then you know that you can roll it out to, something different, something bigger, something bigger. So that's the way to go. But for my brothers and sisters who are professional salespeople, they've brought you into the company. Remember that our job is not just to execute the play that is on ground. If we can come up with one or two ideas that seem to make sense, people will appreciate it. It's part of the job as well. So be brave enough to act on some of these things. This is how we grow personally. You try one or two things, it succeeds. This is how we grow. This is how we gain confidence. This is how we build skills. Then, this is also how our commission can increase. And also, it's the thing that will now give us mouth later on to go and meet Madam and say, look, Madam, since I came to this company, this is what I've achieved. This is what I have done. People brought me in at 10%. Madam, based on the success of this, I think it's time. I think you can step me up to like 13% or 15%. This is the kind of thing that will give you mouth to now ask. If you don't believe me, but you've been delivering, try it. There was one of my clients that I was doing some work for, trying to put the sales team, trying to shape them up. And I told the salespeople that, look, this is not the UK. This is not America. If it is America, everybody must be paid the same salary, or how will I put it? Like, the amount of paperwork that is required to bump up your commission is just too much. The formality is just too much. But this is Nigeria. I told her, okay, you want this latest iPhone? It's not a problem. All you have to do is go and sit down and tell Oga. If you tell Oga that, look, if I sell this much, blah, 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 can I have an iPhone? Just ask. She didn't believe me. So at the next meeting, I told the Oga straight up. The Oga said, no be iPhone with this store. That is a very simple something. And then he gave a specific figure that was just above 1 million. That if she hits that, she can carry one. Was that simple? That's the benefit of working in Nigeria. Formality, not too much. Paperwork, not too much. And then he asked the next person, you uncle? She said, no, me, I don't want iPhone. That me is money that I want. He said, okay, how much money? And then he said it. And then he called an amount. If you hit this figure before so and so, you will get this amount. It's Nigeria. It's that simple. So, you have any good idea? Just try it. If the thing works, the thing will now give you liver to go and say, Madam, you know what? I came in at 10%. Madam, blah, blah, blah. Hey, you argue up and down. Good salespeople are hard to find. Madam will not want to lose you because she sees that you have initiative, you have drive, you give results, you try. Some things work, some things don't work, but you've been an asset to the firm. Madam will want to keep you. Oga will want to keep you. Just try it. A trial will convince you. It won't confuse you. So that's it. Thank you very much for listening. If you would love to connect with me, you can call me, send me a text message or a WhatsApp message on 080 6466 2140.